and he's going to house it.
It's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another Angle of Pursuit podcast, your fantasy football, sports betting, and NASCAR home. I am your host, Kyle Robert. You follow me on Twitter at NotoriousKRO. With me to break down the conference title games, picks, props, teasers. It's Brian Twining. What's up, Brian?
What's up, Kyle? Man, I don't know what to say about that divisional round of playoffs, but holy beep! That was
I think we need to,
insane.
Yeah, I think we need to recap it a little bit. Obviously, we only have 2 games to cover, so we have some wiggle room in our schedule. But I'll get out in front of it. Ryan Tannehill, like what are we doing, bud? 1, okay. Yeah. 2, we overcame that. That's fine. Our defense has been great. The third one can't happen. Like, it just can't happen.
That was definitely a forced ball, and you kind of saw that throughout the entirety of the game. It almost felt like he was pressing to make a play, when if he just played inside the offense, Tennessee basically, even without moving the ball very consistently, I mean, they should have won that game.
Yeah, I feel like he was trying to play like A.J. Brown and Julio and Derrick Henry weren't out there. Like, they're out there. Let them do their thing.
Yeah,
we're throwing into triple coverage to Nick Westbrook-Ikhine. It was the most frustrating time I've had watching the Titans play in a long time, because they were the better team.
I mean, how do you lose a game when you sack the opposing quarterback 9 friggin' times?
No team had ever lost a game when they had 8 or more sacks. 3 picks. INT Tannehill. Like, I can't. I'm curious to see what they do. They'll probably just run it back because he's been fine. But and it's funny too to roll from that game into the Niners game and watch Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, those 2 teams are so similar. It's crazy. They have talented players. They have AJ Brown, AJ Brown and Deebo Samuel. They run the ball really effectively. They have a really good defense. They get to the quarterback, and then they have a quarterback who, when they don't turn it over, win games. And when they turn it over, put them in a really, really bad spot. It was great to see the Niners come back. Niners pulled that game out of their butts. After that first drive, everybody was, victory lapping the Packers on Twitter, and they scored 3 points the rest of the game.
I mean, I will say, though, you cannot plan for a blocked field goal, a blocked punt. Like, I mean,
yeah, no, and that's fair. But we've talked about this with the Packers all year long about why we really haven't liked them, especially when they're bigger favorites, because they're not trying to play fast. They're not trying to rack up a ton of points. They let teams hang around, and sometimes it bites them. It did against the Niners. It did against the Vikings. A couple times this season where they had big leads. Washington should have lost, and they pulled a few games out, but it was like they should have. And obviously, when it's 10 degrees, 8 degrees, 5 degrees, like, it's, everything goes a little differently. But it was a very, very interesting game. And then obviously Sunday was when the drunk games happened. Like, the Rams had that game. It was over. They could have sat on the ball, and one mistake after the other. I was feeling really good about my unders too, Brian.
Yes. I was just going to say, I'm not one to believe in conspiracy theories within the NFL, but there was some odd happenings in that Rams
conspiracy theories within the NFL.
I mean, how do you snap the ball so far away from your quarterback and then have yourself? It's basically a 30-yard difference in the other team recovering it, and it's Tom Brady down a couple touchdowns, and then Cam Akers fumbles when they're trying to wind the clock down. I almost felt as if both of these teams knew what the over was, and they were attempting to get to that spot. And also, too, like you said, the craziness of the Bills and the Chiefs, not to fast forward too far, but that game was in the books as the under. And then all of a sudden, the defenses left the field. They retired. They pulled the Vonta Davis on everyone and just walked off the field, threw their jersey down.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, the offenses exploded.
They got a little too comfortable. I don't know what happened. Patrick Mahomes, this is an insane stat. Patrick Mahomes threw for 177 yards after the 2-minute warning. That's absurd. That's absurd.
Ridiculous.
As somebody who has a quarterback that you're happy when he throws for 177 yards, to do that inside the 2 minutes is insane.
Yeah.
But those two games were great. They should have gone under.
Yes.
I don't know, like the Rams Bucks game, was it good or did it just have like an exciting finish that was never really? But like for most of that game, it was kind of boring, right?
Yeah, I mean, to me, that game was basically 3.5 quarters of the Rams dominating Tampa. It really wasn't that good of a game. And then, truth be told, the Kansas City Buffalo game, I much preferred it when it was in the first 58 minutes of football when both of these teams were knocking heads and the offenses weren't just going up and down the field. Like I find that a much more compelling and competitive game than just, oh, here you go. You can go 80 yards in 20 seconds.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it was definitely compelling. It was definitely fun. The second half of that game got real loose. And yeah, the big part of the, obviously the Rams, like no Tristan Wirfs, no banged up Ryan Jensen wasn't great for the Bucks, and that was a big part of why their defense ate so well. And
but we saw that early in the year, though. There's just something that the Rams did early on that definitely dislodged what Tampa Bay wanted to do. And then coming into this week, minus Chris Godwin and with Antonio Brown gone, I mean, they're down 2/3 of their dynamic receiving core. And so the writing was on the wall there that the Rams were a live dog, to say the least. And on a neutral field, are probably favored.
Yep. But it, but the Rams, like, they show reasons why we've been hesitant to get on board with them all year long, because they're good, is as good as anybody in the NFL, but they have Matthew Stafford has a little more Jimmy Garoppolo, Ryan Tannehill to his game than I think anybody's ready to admit, and that will be interesting. So yeah, it was a compelling weekend of football. It was definitely a frustrating one as watching that Titans game, but I'm happy that it was the first game because I was able to watch all the other games and not feel so terrible. But yeah, so overall, decent weekend. Not as well as I'd hoped, but Niners best bet. I had Niners +6, Niners +5, Niners money line. I took them on the live money line +375. So my bank account was happy after that game. Titans, no. Bucks, no. Those are other ones I really liked. Obviously, the unders didn't come through as I kind of hoped. But if you bet all four of them, you split it and pay a little vig. It ended up being okay. Chiefs money line, Chiefs -1.5. Happy to take it. It was 2.5, almost 3 by kickoff.
Yes.
Debo didn't run as much as I thought they would in a 10-degree weather game, and I don't know if that's just the way the game played out or what was going on, but that was weird. Josh Allen over. That was an easy rushing total.
That happened quickly too.
AJ Dillon and Aaron Jones both stayed under their rushing totals. So you love to see that.
We definitely said that we saw that coming a million miles away with this Niners defense.
Yep. The Titans just ugh. You had a pretty good week. Under on the Titans, Bengals, smart move. Under Packers team total, that was good. You were on the Rams first quarter. I think that might be the easiest cash of the week.
Yeah, that was quick too.
You did the Chiefs alternate spread, which was not looking good until it was absolutely looking great.
Sweat on that
I appreciate that. Your teaser did not come through.
This damn final 2 minutes of that Bills and Chiefs game got me there.
You were on Aaron Jones receiving and Aaron Jones receiving yards. Those were great calls. Mix and rush yards was a nice one. Obviously it was a weird game because it felt like the Bengals were up at most parts of that game. So you think Mixon would be running a lot more, and
I felt like they used Samaje Perine a lot more than
Yeah.
people had expected coming into the week. Maybe with the lead during the game, they were trying to preserve Mixon for a potential matchup in the AFC Championship. I don't know.
It was weird for sure. But they had been mixing him in a lot more, I
Yeah.
think, than people realized. Your Mahomes props came in. The Juice, no, the lack of running for Debo and the lack of throwing to Juice was kind of both mind-boggling to me, but I think that had a lot more to do with the weather. Like, I would be comfortable going back to both of those this weekend.
Oh, for sure.
You
And
may,
also, I would not bet against Patrick Mahomes scoring another rushing touchdown on another anytime. I know I talked about it last week. He's done it in
Yep.
every postseason he's played in. He did it last week. And in games where they're playing in close contests, look for him to push the issue here.
and we can obviously we'll hit some of those in the prop section. Let's dive into it and let's talk the first game of the weekend. Chiefs, Bengals. Obviously, last time we saw this game in Cincinnati, Bengals pulled it out, got the win. I feel like this is a very different version of the Chiefs game, of the Chiefs team that we're seeing. I think, obviously Kelsey was a little bit more banged up. Tyreek Hill was a little more banged up. Not to take away anything from what the Bengals did, because they've been really fun and they've been exciting, and they're kind of flashing, but I don't know about for you, but for me this feels like the end of a really good story. Like, it was fun, it was good to see him play, obviously, but like, even like against the Raiders, you never really felt like they were demolishing them or like really, but they pulled it out. The Titans, they probably should have lost, they pulled it out, so maybe they keep that trend going. It feels really hard to do it against this Chiefs team who, as we saw, even when they don't play great for 3.5 quarters, are able to flip a switch, turn it on, and do what they need to do, get out with the victory.
Yeah, I think this game is going to be a tale of two halves. I know that Kansas City, I don't know if you want to call it luck or whatever, but that miraculous comeback against the Bills is going to be something we talk about for ages. And the Bengals are kind of riding high right now. I know they've played a bunch of close contests, but they've probably even proven to themselves that they can compete at this level. So I do think we see them come out firing early.
Yeah.
And with Tyrann Mathieu potentially missing the game, we don't know where he is in the progression.
So there's good news on that
protocol.
front. I was going to hit that, because that if they don't have him and it's Dan Sorensen running around out there, that's bad news bears.
Yeah, and that's where.
So he was back at practice. He was back at practice today. He's still progressing through the protocol, so he's not out of the woods completely. But it's definitely a great sign to see, and positive outlook towards him potentially playing Sunday.
Yeah, and for me, like, when you look at this defense, the Chiefs, they've been most susceptible to teams that can really throw the ball and have multiple weapons on the outside, and minus the Tyrann Mathieu, or even if he's limited in any capacity, Cincinnati could present a pretty difficult challenge for them.
Yeah.
Which is why, for me, I like the Bengals to hit their team total props here in this game. Like, their first half team total is only 10.5. I know they haven't really put up a bunch of points last week against Tennessee, but Tennessee's a slower paced team. The Bengals were just kind of lucking out, and they had so many opportunities to score touchdowns. I mean, you convert one of those field goals into a touchdown, this team is in the 20s.
Yeah, and I also don't expect the Chiefs to have 9 sacks. Like, I think the offensive line should be a little bit better, even if it's not great. It should still be good enough to slow down. Arguably, obviously the Chiefs pass rush is better than it's been, and should be able to make some plays. But having a little more time for Burrow, because that was the biggest thing in that game, is when Burrow had the time, he was picking the Titans secondary apart. But when he had pressure in his face, he was done.
Yeah, and I think too, when you look at when Cincinnati was settling for field goals, they were playing a game against a team that they knew does not necessarily have the firepower to keep up or put up a ton of points. Now, going into Kansas City, you cannot play the field goal game against the Kansas City Chiefs, because Patrick Mahomes and company is going to score on you, and they can score quick. as evidenced by that 13-second drive.
I mean, I think the Bills are probably like, we should have kicked less field goals.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't
hopefully-
see Cincinnati settling for any field goals this game. I see them being uber aggressive, especially in the first half, to try to get a lead. And then we see them maybe try to play the clock game or something, which has never proved beneficial. But
no, they need to put their foot on the gas and not take it off. If Zach Taylor does the Joe Mixon game the whole way, they're losing this game 37.
Oh, exactly. Like, they cannot play the ball control, let's try to stay close game. They're going to need to put up points and put up a lot of them.
Yeah. But yeah, from a real bet standpoint, I probably won't like actually have anything on either side. I feel like if I was forced to make a bet, I would take the Chiefs. I think they win this game by a good margin. But we've also seen, the Bengals, their offense is legit, and if that defense has any struggles, and Jamar Chase and and T Higgins and Tyler Boyd and CJ Uzama are doing what they can do, and they're throwing all over him, this game could be, even if it's not really that close, like it could be a 34-41 kind of game, and you're either pushing, or 35-41 is just under the spread. So I think this is going to be, and we'll obviously jump into your teasers in a bit, but this is going to be a lot of people going, okay, let me tease the Bengals, or let me tease the Chiefs, and build some teasers around those.
Yeah. That's kind of, you'll see in my teaser, I went completely opposite of that. But like for me, like I said, I think this game gets off to a fast start and maybe slows down in the second half, with the Chiefs potentially jumping out to a lead early in the second half, and then not allowing the Bengals to get their explosive offense on the field.
Yeah.
Because we've seen the Chiefs be super efficient on offense. They don't have to score in 2 minutes. They could control the clock here. So I like both team totals in the first half. Cincinnati over 10.5, Kansas City over 16.5. And I'm going to go out on the limb, and I'm going to say that this game is within 4.5 points at halftime. So I'm taking the Bengals with the points in the first half.
Yeah. And we've seen the Chiefs do that too, right? Where they let teams kind of hang around for a half. Don't really push, even like Pittsburgh, who stinks.
Yeah, it took them a quarter or so to get going.
Yeah. So I think those plays make a lot of sense. You want to flip over, talk some NFC?
Yeah, this is my favorite game right here.
I mean, I'm clearly, like, where I'm going. I'm very happy with myself. I got on the live line during the Rams game. Shouts out to our friends offshore who threw up a nice line for me. So I am sitting currently on a Niners plus 4.5.
Woo! That is just too much.
Yeah, I missed my window, but even at 3.5, I think as long as you're getting that hook, I think this game is going to be really close. Field goal game. Obviously we know Niners have won 6 in a row. 4 of those were with Jared Goff, so we don't necessarily count them. But Shanahan versus McVay, there's definitely been a bad trend. I guess my biggest concern, and maybe this is just arbitrary and doesn't actually mean anything, but it really feels like winning the third time against any team in the NFL is really hard to do.
Well, we've seen it before. The Cowboys tried it against the Giants. That didn't work out.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't understand. Like, why are we looking at 3.5 instead of 3?
Yeah,
especially with that stadium. That stadium's going to be 70% red.
Yes, however, I don't know if you saw what the Rams did, is they limited ticket sales to anybody.
They tried to, and then all those things got basically thrown out, so they weren't able to do that.
Yeah,
plus the Niners are a national fan base who are going to have tons of people living in Southern California. Oh, and there's also these things called like StubHub and Craigslist and third party ticket vendors that.
And this is an LA fan base we're talking about, who having lived in Southern California almost my whole life, by far the largest collection of fair weather fans that can ever
Well,
be
in
assembled.
LA especially, like there's a lot of people in that area that are transplants from somewhere else. They're from the
Yeah,
East
and I
Coast, they're
mean,
from the Midwest.
honestly, if you're like me too, this is a perfect opportunity to make some pretty good dough on some tickets, especially if you think the Rams are going to win here. Like if you're a Rams fan and you want to see them play in the Super Bowl, why even bother going to this game? Put those tickets up for sale, make a bunch of money, and then use that to buy your Super Bowl ticket. So yeah,
Yeah.
this is going to be 50-50. The line for me, I think, is just set at the current number because the Rams are the home team. This is easily a pick 'em on a neutral field. And for me, quite possibly San Francisco as the favorite, considering they've won this last 6 times. The Niners are one of the, if not the hottest team going right now. Like they're holding opponents to under 24 points in each of the last 7 games. I mean, this team's defense is on fire right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, and Warner was clearly fine. Bosa should be fine. The biggest question
Yep.
for me is Trent Williams. Because
Yeah.
the Niners really got going when they had a healthy George Kittle and a healthy Trent Williams, and they were able to block really, really well and kind of make everything else go.
And they use
If
Trent Williams as a fullback.
Dude,
That's
that
just unfair,
was
by the way.
so much fun. So much fun. I
That's
love what Kyle
ridiculous.
Shanahan does, and those little things are just so unique. And we'll see what Juice can do. And obviously, um, the total is the thing that was interesting to me. Obviously, opened at 47. It's currently sitting at 45.5. I guess it really depends on how you see this game playing out. If you think the Rams are going to be good and are going to really push the Niners and maybe even like kind of beat them down, I think you have to look at the over. I think it's a 31-17 kind of game. But if you think the Niners are going to dominate and they can run the ball and kind of control the clock and the defense is going to be really effective and the Rams aren't going to be able to get a lot going, then the under is probably the play, although both these quarterbacks are very happy to throw it to their team, let them go dance in the end zone. So,
And also too factoring in injuries to both offensive lines and how good like the front four can get to the opposing
yeah,
quarterback. We're looking at 2 QBs who like to turn the ball over with fumbles. So I mean,
yeah,
this game present a lot of opportunities for the defense to either score or give their offense really short field. So that 45 number is something I'm a little wary of. I'm leaning the over, regardless of which team I like. I mean, you're looking at a 27-20, 27-21, 24-23 type game
yeah,
here, and I mean, there's so many ways this game hits the over.
yeah. No, that's completely fair, and I think taking the over and throwing it in a teaser could make a lot of sense too, because then you're getting it to 39.5. Like you feel pretty
Yeah.
good about that. I know the Niners haven't exactly been barn burner, but like the game in Green Bay was so unique. I don't know if that's
Oh yeah,
something
that's
once they get inside, like we saw them score points against Dallas, even if it wasn't a ton. You can get to 40 there, so I think that makes
well,
sense.
and two, and the 49ers are not the kind of team that they're going to continue to push the tempo. Like once they get a lead, like they're going to go into like fifth gear and just
Mm.
continue to pound the rock, take those 6-7 minute drives and settle for that field goal, knowing how good their defense is.
Let's dive into some props. This is, I think, where you can have the most fun, and I think find the best advantages this weekend.
Yeah.
These lines are pretty spot on, and the totals are pretty good. And especially at this point where there's 20,000 bets on either side, and there's a lot. So this is where you can get in. We'll start with the AFC Championship game. Byron Pringle has been a thing for the Chiefs. I think this is a game where their Chiefs or offense continues to look as good as it did. Byron Pringle anytime touchdown is plus 210 at BetMGM. I'm going to put that on the card. I think like obviously, and then I'm gonna have a Kelsey touchdown on there too, minus 125. But I could see Mahomes throwing 3, 4, 5 touchdowns, and really he's never like worried about forcing it to one guy or another. He's happy to throw to Demarcus Robinson, happy to throw to Byron Pringle, the Belldozer, Blake Bell. Like there's a lot of weird names. So looking at those anytime touchdowns, maybe a Jerick McKinnon
Yes.
could be fun. But yeah, I have both Byron Pringle, which is plus 210, and Travis Kelce minus 125, both from BetMGM. Anytime touchdowns on my card.
Yeah, in this same game here, I love Mahomes pass yards over 289.5, pretty much everywhere at every book. I mean, this is a guy who wants the playoff start. Like the Chiefs rely on his arm to get going. He's gone over, I think, 270 in his last, I think it's like 7 playoff games. So I like Mahomes in a spot knowing that Cincinnati's offense does present a danger, that the Chiefs are going to want to push the tempo and put up as many points as possible. With that, I like Mecole Hardman to maybe get a little bit more involved than we've seen recently. I mean, he's been very sparingly used since the emergence of Mr. Pringle over there. So his yards prop is only at 24.5. And, on a wide receiver screen or even just like a quick slant, like this guy can take it to the house. So I like that number, even if he's only getting 2 or 3 receptions. And then in a surprising move, even though I think Cincinnati is going to have to put up a bunch of points, I like Joe Burrow to go under his completions at 24.5 with, for me, I think we see a little bit more like downfield throws and less safe throws from the Bengals, which tends to lead to more incompletions because you're taking a little more chances. So, and it's plus money, which is always good for me. I like getting even juice or even better. So I like the under on the Burrow completions of 24.5.
Yeah, I like that call. I think that makes a lot of sense. I will take Jamar. I am going to take CJ Uzoma, 35.5 receiving yards. I'm going to take the over on that. This is a Chiefs team, especially if Tyrann Mathieu can't go. That's going to put a lot of pressure or that can be had by tight ends. And I think they're going to be putting, I think they'll have Matthew a little more focused on stopping Higgins, stopping Jamar Chase, and leaving that middle of the field a little more open. So 35.5 receiving yards, I think makes a ton of sense. I also like Jamar Chase receptions. But right now the over 5.5, which is interesting to me. I think he can get peppered with targets. But it's minus 160 at DraftKings, and I don't love laying that much.
Yeah, that's just it's too hefty a price to pay.
Yeah,
for that
I'd rather get 6 or even 6.5 with even money or a little bit above, and just hope that he has a 7 for 107 in a touchdown kind of game.
Yeah. I mean, especially too, because 5.5 in a game that Cincinnati is a 7-point dog. You're better off taking the alternate on that of even 6.5 or 7.5, knowing that the Bengals are going to have to throw a ton, or in all likelihood throw a ton, even with me taking the Burrow completions under. I mean, the range of outcomes for the Bengals are really, really limited here if they're getting their butts kicked by the Chiefs.
I'm also going to take longest reception for Jamar Chase at 28.5. I think there's a big chance that he gets a big play, a 40, 50, 80-yard touchdown. And I not since I'm not taking the reception because of the juice. You can get it at let's see, what was I looking at? So you can get it at FanDuel 27.5, but the over is going to cost you minus 130, or you can go to almost anywhere else and get 28.5 and get it at either minus 110 or minus 115. So I'll I'll add on the extra yard, and if he gets 28 instead of 29, I'll take my medicine, but I would I'd rather not lay the extra juice. And
I will say on that note, last week my Van Jefferson longest reception was crushed by a half of yard. So
maybe I should just take the juice and not stress on him. But I'm here talking real bets. I'm not trying to bump my winning percentage up. So over 35. Anything else in the AFC title game you like? So Mahomes anytime touchdown could make a lot of sense.
Yeah, like I said, I feel like in the playoffs you almost have to bet that weekly, just
Yeah.
knowing what his rushing potential is in these games. I mean, we've seen it every game so far that he likes to do that, and right now his anytime is, I mean, plus 280 still. That's damn good value over
Yeah,
at
it's hard for a
BetMGM.
quarterback. Like usually that's like, 6 or 7, but for a guy who runs like he does, I think it
Oh
makes
yeah,
sense.
I think though too. Another guy that I really like in the prop market is Joe Mixon's receiving props.
Mm.
So like right now his receptions are only 3.5, which is, man, priced way too high at minus 160 to 165 in almost every book. So again, I'd be taking this more in the 4.5 area, getting way better juice. And then his receiving yards are at 27.5. And I do think the Bengals are probably going to have to utilize all their weapons in this game, even split him out wide, maybe run him on some routes with linebackers covering him. So
Yeah, I like that call. And like last week we did with the Packers, I'm gonna take your receptions, and if you want to do a same game parlay, this could be a fun way to attack it. I'm gonna take the under rushing yards at 57.5. And you could look at doing under rushing yards over receptions over receiving yards, add all three of them together, throw in a Joe Mixon anytime touchdown, and you'll be on your way, sir. I like that call quite a bit. Let's flip over and talk the NFC because there's a lot I want to get into there. I'm gonna pound unders on Rams receivers not named Cooper Cup. So I have Odell under 50.5. I have Tyler Higbee under 40.5 because he's been great and his number's too inflated.
oh yeah.
Um, I really want to take Van Jefferson, but he's a little nerve wracking to me because there's a chance he might not play. We'll see where he's at. 2, there's a chance that he catches one big pass and then I'm toast. Like he's not a chunk guy. So, but he is little Marquez Valdez Scantling where he's going to get a couple shots, and if he doesn't
Yep.
catch them, he's done. So he's somebody that I'm looking at, but haven't officially added to the card. But yeah, I think I think between the Rams just not like I think there's going to be a lot of Cooper Cup in this game, and then not really a lot of anybody else. But maybe that comes back to bite me.
Yeah, this game for me, I kind of looked at the props. I'm waiting a little bit more for some more injury updates on some of the guys because I do think Van Jefferson's availability will greatly affect Cooper Cup.
Yeah.
Because if he's not there, you're looking at an offense. What, I don't even remember that dude's name. Some random guy for the Rams.
Ben Skoranek.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, but I
like,
think if you like Odell, if you like Cooper Cup, if you like Tyler Higbee, I think getting in on them now is the move because I think if they start listing some of these Van Jefferson type guys out, they're going to bump them. Maybe obviously not a ton, but a couple yards. And that could be
well,
a
for
way to take it.
instance, like on Cooper Cup right now, his yards prop is at like 101.5. I mean, I don't know why anybody would even with the most recent games, like even lean the under for a
Yeah.
guy who is by far the Rams' number one wide receiver. And if we're expecting the 49ers to compete in this game and potentially win, if the Rams are throwing and they're losing, they're gonna have to target Cooper Cup a ton. And so
Where
I
Go ahead, sorry.
no, and so like I just don't see a world where Cooper Cup is not the focal point of the offense
Yeah,
at
I
all
think that
times.
makes sense. And that's why I'm fading the other guys. Where are you at with Cam Akers?
He looks explosive, but I mean, for as good as the Buccaneers' run defense is, I think a lot of their numbers were inflated by the fact that they were always beating the crap out of people, and which you know lend teams to kind of abandon the run. Now he's going up against a legit run defense that is by far the best in the NFL, which we
Yeah.
we tailed last week. And even if the Rams want to try to establish the run this week, I think you're going to see a lot more Sony Michel. I think if Daryl Henderson, if they activate him, I think he's worked into the mix. So I like his unders this week as
63
well.
and a half right now, DraftKings. I'm taking the under on the card. I think that makes a lot of sense. And I think like with Joe Mixon, like we talked about with the Packers, Akers has been involved in the passing game a little bit more than I think we kind of expected to see.
Yeah.
And I could see, especially if this game is a little bit closer, if the Niners are able to get up with the running game, that they can kind of check down. They'll throw a few more to him, a little less run, especially with that Niners front seven. Like that team creates such little run lanes that, and especially with Andrew Whitworth a little banged up, maybe if they can't create the run lanes, they're going to find ways to get Akers the ball, and that'll keep his rush yards down a little bit. I think 63.5 is a little too high. It should be closer to, the 50. That we saw. I also like the over for Eli Mitchell. Obviously, I'm telling a story, right? I think the Niners are good. I think the Niners play really well. I think they're up in this game. 69.5 rush yards is a lot, but I think he can get to 70 or so. So
Yeah, and I'm piggybacking that number with his rush attempts over 17.5. I mean, he saw 28 against the Cowboys. So I think Elijah Mitchell is fully healthy. Jeff Wilson is still on the injury report, so there's really nobody behind him outside of Debo. And in a game that could be tight, even, if the 49ers are trailing, I don't think they're going to be able to utilize Debo as much out of the backfield. They're going to need his receiving skill set. So I like Elijah Mitchell to be the workhorse this weekend and get anywhere in between like 20 and 25 carries.
I'm going to take Kyle Juszczyk over 1.5 receptions.
I can't believe that didn't hit last week.
And that's at plus money. And I'm going to take Kyle Juszczyk anytime touchdown at 7.5 to 1.
That one I worry about. I don't see them running like that spider Y, whatever the hell that thing was, banana spider, whatever.
Spider Y2 banana or something like that.
Yeah, right? Something like whatever that is. Like I don't see them running that formation because okay.
Spider
so this
2Y
is the
banana.
biggest issue with these teams in the playoffs or in the NFL in general right now. Teams get too tricky when a lot of times it's the basics that work.
For the 49ers, basics. Get off my lawn, you shenanigan little child.
Just give the ball to Debo Samuel, George Kittle, or Elijah Mitchell near the goal line and stop messing around with any of these weird-ass trick plays or like Kansas City's case, lining up a tight end at quarterback and taking Mahomes out of the backfield. Like, that's just idiotic to me. Come on.
So I definitely feel really good about that now. I want to find the prop. I wonder if they have it listed. There was a prop I saw where it was
non-QB to throw a touchdown.
No, an offensive lineman to catch a touchdown in either game.
That ain't happening this week. No way. No way.
You love to see it.
It is great, but I don't see that happening.
If I can find it, I will. If I can find it, I'm adding it to the card.
I will say in today's NFL, I am not opposed to betting that any non-QB to throw a touchdown prop almost on a weekly basis. Just knowing
Travis Kelce or Blake Bell could easily do it. Debo could do it.
Yep, exactly.
There's a lot of options for sure. Let's hit your teaser, Brian.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about this one, but we'll see. So Cincinnati and Kansas City, I think, even though this feels like a trap, teasing this total down from 54 to 48 and taking the over, maybe too good to be true, but I just don't see a world where Kansas City's not in the 30s, and all we would need from Cincy is a couple of touchdowns.
Yep.
So taking the over 48 there, and then teasing the 49ers up to 9.5. It feels like a lock of the century. I won't go as far as like locking that in as the best pick ever, but 49ers are going to keep this game close. They're one of the best teams in the NFL right now. So teasing them up to 9.5 is almost as good as you can get. So this week it's only a 2-team teaser, so I'm going to have to lay a little bit more money, but I feel a little more confident in this hitting.
Keeping it tidy is always a good move. I feel like Chiefs Niners is going to be a very popular teaser. I don't know that I want to go to it, but I do like it. I also like doing teasing the Niners and the over or teasing the Chiefs in the over. I think a lot of people are going to tease the Bengals. And I don't know that I love it because I could see the Chiefs winning 41-14.
Exactly.
Like this could be the wheels come off. There was I was listening to something where they were talking about kind of comps to this Bengals team, and they were talking about that Colts team with Andrew Luck where they got in really early and he was really good, and all of a sudden that final game, when it was against New England, they just got their doors blown off.
Yeah.
So this could be where the wheels fall off the cart and the Chiefs run away with it. I think there's some interesting teaser legs, but yeah, I think keeping it to 2 or 3 legs most of the time is going to be your best bet, but especially this weekend. I forgot to mention 2 props from the Niners game. I have Matt Gay over 1.5 field goals and Robbie Gould over 1.5 field goals. So it doesn't include extra points. You can do that, but that's the different number. I think both these teams are going to be are willing to settle and kick field goals, especially Matt Gay's leg, end of quarters, end of the half, that kind of stuff. I think a game-winning field goal is very much in play. So I'm taking the over on both. I can get plus 110 on both, and I think I'll hit at least one, if not both.
I think the big question of that game between those 2 kickers is Robbie Gould finally going to miss a playoff attempt?
That's not the kind of mojo we need around here. That is not the kind of mojo we need around here. We're going to talk best bets here in a second, Brian, and maybe this will be the giveaway. But I did want to talk about, I was looking at, so we have 4 teams left. The Chiefs are plus 120. The Rams are 2-1. The Niners are plus 450 to win. This is all to win the Super Bowl. And the Bengals are 8-1. I think if you really believe the Bengals can win, betting them 8-1. Although what's their money line for this game?
I think they're like
they're plus 270, plus 275. If you take that, you flip that over, say you put $100, you're plus 375, and then you're probably looking. I mean, I think there's already lines out for it, but like another plus 150. So get a parlay calculator out and figure out what's going to be your better bet. But betting the Bengals 8-1, I think it's dead money, and I don't think it makes a lot of sense. Now I will ask you, as I hold a Niners 45-1 ticket, should I be betting the Chiefs at plus money if I feel really strongly about them going, knowing that if they get to the Super Bowl against the Niners, I'll have a really nice ticket? And no matter who the Chiefs play, they're going to be the favorites.
They're going to be favorites.
So they're going to be minus something. So should we just be taking the free money and not in terms of closing line value? Like, this is a great opportunity. Obviously, if you think the Bengals are going to win, then you don't take it. But plus 120 for a team that I think has a really good chance. I think gets out of the game against the Bengals, and it's really just a matter of who they play. But they're going to be favorites against the Rams or the Niners. So you're getting positive money instead of negative. I think that's a win.
Yeah, no, no doubt. I think the Chiefs, in terms of like potential for like the easiest win here, has got to be they're the best value with plus money, knowing they're probably the best overall team remaining, and at getting them over even right now, knowing they're going to be, I think the futures are they're like -2.5 or -3 against the Rams, and then 3.5 against the Niners. So like you said, they're going to be favorites in the Super Bowl as well, so that you're losing potential profit there. So getting them at plus 120 right now is definitely the play.
Yeah, although I will say, as somebody holding a Niners ticket, I think I'm hopeful that the Bengals somehow manage to get through, because I feel like I would have a much better shot at getting through. And I should, we should have bet the Chiefs last week. They're plus 425. Now they're plus 130. The Rams are plus 750. Obviously getting through cut their odds significantly. But that I was trying to find the exact matchups, but I think that is interesting. So if you're betting any of these 4, the Chiefs, the Rams, the Niners, and the Bengals, where are you betting if you're looking for a futures ticket at this point?
Well, Because I'd be too sour that the line is so short now. The 49ers are out because I'd be pissed that I hadn't bet them early in the season.
Well,
And like the Chiefs, you're really not losing as much value knowing they opened the year like I think it was like 4-1 or something. So I mean, they haven't really gotten that much shorter. So I think they're the play. If you're taking Super Bowl futures right now, you bet the Chiefs, knowing they're going to be the favorite in the Super Bowl, no matter their opponent.
yeah. And you could look at it too, like obviously I have a Niners ticket, right? I want the Niners to play. So if I think the Chiefs are going to win, I could bet the Chiefs to beat the Niners at 4-1. I could bet the Niners to beat the Chiefs at 6.5-1. So that's another way you can attack it too. Is like obviously you need a little more to go right, but you could, if you feel strongly about a couple of matchups that are like, or I could go, I could think the Rams are going to go there.
Also, too, like this is a good hedge spot for you because if you have the Niners at 45-1, you could place futures on both Cincinnati and Kansas City right now, knowing you're gonna get at least one of the AFC opponents, and you're now just hoping that San Francisco gets in there.
And then I'll get the Bengals in there, and then I'll be mad at myself when the Rams beat them. So so wanted to hit that before we get out of here, but we have one thing and one thing only, Brian. We need a best bet for this. This could be a prop, this could be a tease, a parlay, this could be a straight bet. Where are you going?
I hope I'm not taking yours, but I'm going 49ers with the 3.5. I've been kind of riding their train over the last half of the year. Picked them against my Cowboys. I thought they had a good shot last week against the Packers, so I'm sticking with them. Make it 7 straight wins potentially over the Rams. So 3.5 is too big. Give me the Niners with the field goal and a half.
So I picked two teams, or made two picks pretty consistently throughout the playoffs. I've bet on the Niners and I have bet against the Rams. The Niners have been great to me. Betting against the Rams has not been great to me.
Oh, no.
This is where it all comes to a head. 49ers money line.
Woo!
On the field. Take it. Plus 160, 150. Let's see what the best odds I can get are. It's 160 is my best number at points bet. 155 is probably what you're looking at.
Yeah.
Take them. Niners on the field. They get it done. They beat them for the third straight time, and they're going to the Super Bowl. And they're gonna face the Chiefs, and they're gonna get revenge on Mahomes from a few years ago. And the Niners are hoisting the Lombardi although it would, we talked about this, a random note as we get out of here. No one had ever played a home game in the Super Bowl until the Bucs did it last year.
And we're looking at 2 consecutive years.
What if we do it 2 times in a row? This would also be the first time that a team hosted the NFC, the championship game and the Super Bowl in the same year. Oh. Something to think about. Something to Brian, if we go down, we go down together. Team Niners over here. Let us know down in the comments your best bets. If you haven't subscribed, please do that. Hit the like button, tell a friend, all that good stuff. We'll be back for the Super Bowl. We'll figure it out. We'll probably have a big variety of props to target. And we'll just maybe we'll have a little cheat sheet and we can go head to head and you guys can go with us or something. We'll figure that part out. Also, we are going to be getting the NASCAR content going. So if you want to play NASCAR DFS, bet some NASCAR bets. We'll talk some, season long bets as well as get you set for Daytona in the coming weeks. But that's Brian Twining. I'm Kyle Robert. Enjoy the conference title weekend. And we'll see you guys next time.